All right, everybody, Coach Lee here. Let's break down Remco Evenepoel's TT from yesterday. Had a couple of great conversations with clients that I work with. I've got, athletes, TT athletes, going on the national stage, going for on the world stage, doing these ultras, especially the 24-hour ultra, which is just a 24-hour TT on the bike. And Remco gave us some great data yesterday. I'm unable to see his power data, but I do have his speed and cadence. And we do have his post race comments, which really gives us a great insight to his winning performance. So let's just break this down really super quick. So here's the man himself. There are a lot of things to notice. The new trend in with this cockpit, the past few years that we're seeing in the pro peloton, they're bringing those hands up, and so their arms are more, instead of being straight in line, their arms are more like a 45-degree angle. And you can see how he's wrapping his knuckles over his hands and all that great stuff. Remco does not go with the full sleeve. Jonas Vingegaard did ride with the full sleeve, but he has become famous for claiming that his skin is slippier than the aero suit. So he's really started this trend with no sleeves. It's going to be big. It's been, this way for the past couple years. Today, Pogacar did not wear a full sleeve skin suit. He went with no gloves and no sleeves as well right here. You can see that he does have the Aero sock on. He's riding, obviously the S-Works. He's going to have a big gearing here. I didn't look it up. Today I rode with a 63 tooth chain ring, and this is what Today rode with, the 63 in the front and the let me see if I remember correctly. Yeah, the 11 and 30 on the back. And so he would have had a very similar setup. Key to this is that, if you're a dedicated TT person, right, whether it's, a 12K TT, a 40K TT, or a 24-hour TT, you're gearing specific. You're always changing out your gearing, and that's the most important. And so when I get a new TT athlete, that's kind of the thing. It is cost prohibitive. That is the thing that it takes them a while to get on that train, that every single event demands very specific gearing. And so they are riding the gearing for this course best fit for them, that enables them to ride that chain as straight as possible on the cassette, working with gear ratios. And they know all of this in training. And so that's what they would have done. So let's break down his data now. Here we got, he did it, this is a little 36:42, but he had the Strava has his data at 33, but he actually did it, the official recording is 33.5 miles an hour. So he is flying. But what I love about this is that we can see how his speed trends upwards over time. He does negative splits. He did negative splits for this particular course. If you listen to the commentators, they were talking about, he's going out slow, and they were talking about his time checks, and that was a dominant conversation, and that he picked up speed through this course and then left it all out at the end. Right. So this is, pretty much, split, just level pacing, or as we can see in his speed, he definitely was able, in terms of his speed, to get negative splits. Now, what was his power? I'm not sure. It could have been how the course rolled out, just how the course played out. We're not sure with his power, but his power, if we were to look at his power trend line, it would have been either just 100% flat, or it would have been a steady rise throughout this event. Very disciplined rider, very, just really understands the art of the TT, because there is this thing called watts, but we know from his post-ride comments that, how to get speed on this course is when the road pitches up a little bit. That's when you dig just a little bit deeper, not a lot deeper, but just a little bit deeper. When the road pitches down or you have a tailwind, you let off a little bit. Another thing that we want to look at is his fantastic, there was a lot of turns, especially this run-in was really super messy, but you can see how he handled any kind of corners, turns in this course. His speed drops his cadence drops, his speed drops, but he comes up to here. This is about 110. Cadence, he gets up to about 110 for this. There was one point I saw that he had about a 120. Maybe that was right there. But, all this is 100 cadence. And so he is employing a really super high, fast cadence to get through this. But he nails his turns, right? He nails those corners, and that speed drops. Boom, he's does a power burst, he does a cadence burst, and every time that these guys went around a corner, through a complicated section, they were out of the saddle. It was kind of an average of 3 to 5 rotations, so they were out of the saddle for 3 leg pumps or 5 leg pumps, but pretty much 3 to 5 and no more, right? They got back up to speed, they got back aero. They got back to their game plan. And so that's what we see with the data from Remco. It was absolutely fantastic and amazing when we look at all these speed drops, especially down here at the end. And then again, I love his speed. He gets faster with this course. This course was fairly flat. The road sort of pitches down that last 2 miles a little bit. But he is able to get speed on the course by understanding the art of the TT and by understanding his cadence and how to get through those very problematic, troublesome points, the corners, the turns, and things like that. And then as I'm watching this, you could see there was this one section where, I don't even know how to describe it, but it goes to the left and then it goes back to the right. He gunned it through there, out of the saddle. Today, Pogačar gunned it through there, out of the saddle. Jonas Vingegaard, he didn't have it. He couldn't get out of the saddle. That was a perfect point to be out of the saddle. And Remco nailed it. Today, nailed it. But Jonas did not nail it. All right, hope that helps you a little bit with this TT. I love the TT. I think everybody should understand the TT, understand how physics works, how your energy metabolism works in these events that can then translate to your crits. It can translate to your 8-hour enduro mountain bike ride, cross country, whatever you're doing. Like, it just translates to everything once you learn your metabolism, how energy is used on the course, how to get time on a course by maximizing your knowledge of physics. This little example that Remco gave us is that, this is how I talk to my, not only my 40K guys, not only, we just had the nationals. It was like a 12.5 mile course. I had some guys out there for that. This is kind of the conversations that we're having. But one thing that's hugely different from the Ultra 24-hour TT to the Remco TT is that his cadence was 100. Okay, he is all out. He is at his FTP. That's the way to maximize your muscular system and to maximize your cardiovascular system. Those two things. But for a TT, a 24-hour TT, it's fascinating. The award-winning athletes, those athletes who are on that podium, those athletes that are hitting PRs, those athletes who are driving records like Matthew Left Hand, you'll see their cadence, their zone for their pacing, that 24-hour effort is going to be that lower zone 1, higher zone 1, lower zone 2, depending who you are as an athlete. But your cadence is only going to be 65. And so those guys out there on the 24-hour TTs, they are at cadence 65, right? And so that's where the training kind of goes off. We want to train towards our events. And, but yeah, if you're doing this type of TT, which I have a lot of athletes doing this very type of TT, Remco gave us a great example of how to get it done.